Hello and welcome to Respect the Crit. I'm your host, Ian Duncan. My pronouns are he, him, any. And today we're going to be talking about the campaign that we just ran, that you probably just heard. And to wrap up this Final Fantasy VII Memories of Midgar Disc 2, please welcome Jamie Lee-Bonés.
Hello, I am Jamie, she, her, and I played Jewel Stone, also she, her, the agile martial artist.
And back from Baby, Alex Herrera.
Hello, I'm Alex, he, him. I played Artanis, Rinn, also he, him. His class was, if I'm not mistaken, like Commando Bodyguard or
a strong hero,
yeah,
commando.
Strong hero, Commando Bodyguard, all those big macho words that mean guy with gun, security force.
He was going commando for sure.
Oh yeah,
at all times.
He's too broke to afford a laundromat. That's why he did.
And also, please welcome Susan Spenader.
Hi, I'm Susan, she, her. I played Elysia Valerius, also she, her, who was a smart hero Shinra battlefield medic scientist.
So smart.
Smart. She just had all kinds of shit in her bag.
It's a big bag.
Yeah.
Well-organized bag.
Yes.
Big brain, big bag. You know what they say.
BBBB.
BBBB. And our Materia keeper, the organizer and creator and Imagineer of this incredible world and this incredible campaign, please welcome Xavier Trudeau-Deschênes.
Hello, I'm Xavier, he, him, and it has been a pleasure to be the Materia keeper for these past few, months, I guess, as the episodes air. It's been a real pleasure. And it's also my pleasure to announce that I'm actually playing a new game.
Yes,
60 hours
happened.
in, and I haven't even met Sid yet. What a game.
Yeah, because when we started this, it wasn't out yet. Getting teased. Yeah, it was getting teased, but it was not out yet. So
No.
Cool. Well, I'm so glad that you are all here. Thank you all for playing this and being a part of this campaign, and thank you, Xavier, for putting this together and for putting all the work that you did into this. It was so fun. It's the first campaign that we ever did that wasn't the Star Wars campaign. It was the first thing that we did outside of our Star Wars game, and it's the first game that we've returned to.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
And it was great. It was a lot of fun. I had a ton of fun. Now, I should say, for anyone listening, we're going to be talking about this campaign, and we're going to be going over some questions and talking about our thoughts and feelings about it. So there's going to be some pretty massive spoilers for the campaign in here. This is just a heads up. If you are listening to this before you're listening to the campaign, I cannot imagine why, but just know that we're going to be talking a lot about the story and the story beats that happened and the plot that happened in our game. So if you don't want any spoilers, stop here, press pause, go back, check out those episodes. They're all really good, by the way, and then come back.
What if it's like, when people eat pizza backwards? What if they just
Hey,
do it backwards?
I'm not telling anyone how to eat their damn pizza. Eat the pizza any old way you like. I'm just telling you. I just want to be upfront about what that pizza has in store for you if you decide you want to eat it backwards.
It's not cheesy crust. Surprise. Spoiler alert.
Hey,
spoiler alert.
Wasn't it crazy when Sephiroth showed up?
By the way, if you actually did stop listening because you didn't listen to the show, went back to listen to the show, and now you're caught up, and now you're back here to this point, welcome back.
Welcome back.
Yeah.
Good to see you.
Isn't time weird?
Yeah. Thank you so much for listening to those episodes. Weren't they amazing?
Very Bill and Ted. Extremely Bill and Ted.
Yeah, so let's dive in a little bit. This was in a system that was pretty similar to 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons, and it's something that we're all pretty familiar with, as we've all played quite a bit of Dungeons and Dragons. But this was changed from the first time that we played this, which was kind of like a homebrew D20 modern system, changed to this new system called Everyday Heroes. Xavier, what was kind of your thinking of doing that? Like, why did you decide that you wanted to do this system change, and did it sort of like turn out the way that you had hoped?
Yeah, I think the biggest reason was just because the coincidence of it like being manifested after we played the homebrew one, that the original designers actually kickstarted a real successor to the original D20 Modern in the time between we played both campaigns. I'm like, this is kind of like, I should pay money to
maybe you
utilize the system, but
maybe you
the first time around,
you know what I'm saying? Maybe you jump started them.
Maybe. I doubt it, but maybe. The first time around, it was much closer to 5e than this time around, which is kind of like also why I picked the like Everyday Heroes, just because it was different enough to maybe feel a little more distinct from just a 5e with a flavor on it. And so like the 10 levels, there's a lot of feats that your characters get to choose at every like odd level. The classes were similar enough. The powers were different from 5e a little bit more to give it more of its own identity. So, but at the same time, I feel like balancing wise, your powers were stronger this time around. Like the powers to your classes were big. So like adding materia on top of that gave you a lot of tools in your belt and a lot of thinking to do and a lot of like juggling to do, especially like Elysia with all your like scientific spells that you can just chuck.
I don't think I had to use materia at all.
Yeah, so I mean, I didn't playtest anything beforehand, but it was still fun. It was still what I wanted it to be, and I think that that works out. That plays out pretty well too. It makes your characters feel like heroes, like adventurers, like you have your own stuff outside of materia as well. So, and just playing Rebirth right now, this is what all the characters do. They have like all this funky shit in their toolkits, and then you can add materia on top of that, and it's great. So, just a little, hard to balance at the end of the day.
Yeah, I can imagine so. Yeah, because you were kind of doing a lot of that. Even though this was the homebrew D20 system was sort of like kind of taken from Reddit, I think is what you had said. Yeah. And you kind of like took that and rolled with it and added to it. And Everyday Heroes, like you said, is more of like an actual printed sort of like collected system. But even with that, you were doing a lot of homebrewing on top of that, like adding a materia system, like changing the skills. There was a lot that you were like mixing up, and limit breaks. Those were really, really cool.
Did it come up as much as the first time around? You guys didn't get hit all that much this time around. Only two of you like got serious damage, but that's part of the balancing I was talking about. You gave my monsters no mercy. You destroyed everything really fast too.
All the snakes.
I mean,
no snakes.
I took some notes for next time.
More
no
snakes?
Sephiroth, no snakes.
More Madouche. More Madouche.
More
Madouche. More Madouches. They're called Creamers now. I was a little disappointed.
No.
It's Creamers now.
Not my Madouche.
Not my Madouche.
What about everyone else? What did we all think about this new system with the new sort of like powers and stuff like that? What was kind of your take on that?
I really liked it because I felt like each character, I'm trying to come up with the wording that I want to say. The customization, that's what I'm trying to say. The customization of the characters I thought was really cool in that each of us was so different. Being the martial artist myself, like I felt like all my stuff was really tailored to what I wanted my character to be. And it sort of melded really well with what we had played the first time. Like it didn't feel like a big juxtaposition between like, oh, this is disc 1 jewel versus disc 2 jewel. You know, it was really seamless in that way.
Yeah, it felt like we could slide right into those characters, even though it was like a different system. Yeah, I totally agree.
I thought it was really cool. I really do like that it had the 5e base, but the thing with 5e is the like level 1 characters are just so insanely basic. You get like 3 things and that's it. Your character doesn't feel really special. That is like the beauty of 5e, is that it grows and it becomes special. But I like this game system because you could customize them right off the bat, and your character felt so, like Jamie was saying, so different from everyone else's. So that's what I really liked about the system, and how it really helped, or really leaned into even how we play on the show, the cinematic, like how we describe everything cinematically, and then this system is just made for cinematic gameplay. Yeah,
that's a good point. Yeah, totally.
I'm gonna have to be the hater. I'm gonna have to be the resident hater. Yeah, I'm not
dissenting opinion.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan.
Simon
Like
Cowell.
Hot take.
I think the only reason I did enjoy it was because something that Jamie touched on a little bit was customization. Like, if you don't like something, yeah, like you can swap it out with the, at the discretion of Xavier, who's been, a saint when it comes to Game Master. He was like, oh, don't worry about that. I didn't think about that, so we're just going to push it aside. Like, he was very, very accommodating. And I think that's one of the main reasons why, for me, the characters of the system worked. But the system itself, it's based on like 5e, it didn't feel superhero enough to me. But then again, we are not supposed to be superheroes, I guess. We're supposed to be semi-extraordinary Midgarians, whatever we call ourselves. So I mean, ultimately, I think for me, Xavier's storytelling and the rest of the cast playing their parts propped up this campaign for me. The system itself was kind of more of a hindrance in my eyes, but I mean, Xavier and the cast, you guys, you more than made up for it and propelled it to be enjoyable. I mean, of course, I'm going to enjoy playing games with you guys for sure, regardless of the system. But I am the dissenting vote. I'd have to say.
Yeah. Gotcha. Yeah. I the one thing that I liked was, especially about like spells, at least, was the spells were more like skills, and you didn't have to like mess around with spell slots or anything. You kind of had you had these points that were sort of like an action economy for that, but I don't know, they didn't quite feel like the way that spell slots limit you in the use of some of that. And so you could just kind of like throw out your unique abilities however you wanted to. The one thing that I will that I kind of agree with you, Alex, is like I found myself not using those abilities often, and I was using the materia way more, and like that's because like that's what the exciting stuff, and like same thing, like not really spell slots. It was more like a traditional JRPG MP points kind of thing, but again, like that never felt like it was like hindering or anything. It was just like this is the reserve that you have, and that was like the most fun for me, was like using all the custom materia that we had.
Yeah, and that was what I was hoping you'd use more too. Like sometimes I was like, did you have too many non FF7 skills to do? But I really enjoyed how your usage of it, I thought, was just like on point and felt like your characters don't only rely on materia. And to be fair, Alex, I think your character might have suffered the most from this system, being the gunslinger, because you had a lot of like passive stuff. You had some damage reduction that we kept forgetting about, and just stuff that works under the table that we don't bring up, and you ended up with no like quote unquote spells or like special skills because you just ended up shooting. But like I removed all the like burst fire from the weapons because we didn't keep track of ammo. Like suppressive fire, I had to make it like a enemy skill thing,
which worked
for you to be able to use.
I mean, it worked.
But then again,
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the enemy skill stuff.
That's fun to do.
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah. Did you find that it was difficult, Xavier, to translate the sort of like JRPG video game elements into this tabletop role-playing experience through this system? Like, was it more or less difficult the last time you did, or what was the sort of like hurdles that you kind of faced trying to get those elements into this kind of experience?
It was pretty seamless, except for the fact that, like, as I said, I didn't have time to playtest or balance it. So I'm like, I hope this works. I'm gonna keep track of like damage averages per level in D&D, like in 5e, see how much Fireball does as a 5th level caster, try to translate that with like your current, where you are at in the story or your level, how much MP you have versus how many spell slots a character would have at this level. So just trying to generally base all of that around like what would a wizard in 5e do, and like what would Ruby with wind materia do, and like how does that translate. Other than that, the fact that we played the first campaign before, I had like a very solid list of materia already. And if it didn't come, like if just from listening to the show it didn't come out, but like every materia or most materia that a player equips affects the like D&D stats of the characters. So like the AC, physical attack bonus, like physical attack damage separately. Like there's a bunch of just mechanical stat stuff that moves around just by equipping different materia. And that's kind of like the nerd stuff that I was doing in the background that was really just like stimulating. It's like, oh, if I add this number here, like this materia will do this and this here if you equip it. And like just Jamie equipping 2 specific materia on the last episode, just like gave her like I think it was like more speed or something, just because you happen to have 2 things that gave you enough of a buff to make your speed better or something. I was like, yeah, this is great. The one thing I don't regret, but I can clearly see was the big fault is giving every enemy a weakness to something, a weakness to elemental damage, which is, you know, accurate to the game, but just like between the 4 of you, there was always someone with a response to them. But at the same time, it does speed up the fights, which is what I wanted out of the weakness. But at the same time, you didn't get hit, so you were never in a real like danger, and you didn't get to like show off your limit breaks. So I have ideas for a balance patch for the like disc 3. Like I know what I'm gonna do to try to like play around that next time in 3 years.
Yeah, in 3 years when we pop in disc 3. Yeah, it was. I mean, I know we don't talk about a lot of the like behind the scenes math that was going on, but I know in the show we sort of brought up these like incredible spreadsheets that you had made that not only are like aesthetically pleasing because they had like all of our stats and all of you know, like our abilities and the materia and our limit breakers that were like calculated in real time, but like I know we talked about how incredible those are, but yeah, behind the scenes, like all of that, there was like a bunch of math going on that listeners probably will never see, but it was like absolutely amazing because yeah, you'd get hit and you'd see your limit bar go up and you'd be like, oh yeah, I'm close. Yeah, you'd pop in a new materia and you'd like see your magic stats go up or your HP go down. You like put on new armor and like changed everything. It was very cool.
Yeah, and the last episode, Alex, sorry you missed it, but there was a cool tabletop little fight we got.
Yeah,
I feel like I have a picture somewhere.
I love
you did.
maps.
Yeah, it's in our chat. I think you grabbed a
It
snap
wasn't
of
just
it.
a map. It was
It was an interactive like
No.
2D game,
Stop.
basically.
I have to shout out multiverse.com, One More Multiverse, which is a virtual tabletop like RPG platform, which is great. It's free, it's very independent, and it's so gorgeous. It's all 2D pixel animated sprites.
Yeah, I see.
It just allows you to create any, like, you have templates to work from, but like you have millions of tiles. You can create your maps, your villages, your houses. There's pre-made stuff. There's community stuff you can download. And for legal purposes, like I didn't really show off my FF7 game stuff because like it's all ripped assets. But it was just for us, and I think it was very special when we did it.
Was that the picture you guys posted in the thing?
Yeah, that was it was really cool. It was hot, Alex. That's what you gave up to have a family. Just
Am I to assume that the giant person in this image was not there?
That's true.
I can already hear Xavier saying,
There was
"This right here, ignore this. This is not here."
yeah.
Oh yeah, cloud in the foreground.
yeah.
No.
You were able to really create this like Final Fantasy VII feeling, you know, that like, and I don't know how to like totally describe it, but it's like fantasy where there's like those like elements of like shonen anime and like a RPG like movement and around a map, around an area, but also and like something that has like a very serious story, but also like a brevity to it that is allowed as well. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was really great. Was there anything kind of things that you like kept deploying throughout this campaign to sort of like keep that Final Fantasy VII feeling throughout? Any like tricks or like ideas that you kept like putting in?
Yeah, like my it's still up, like, but my wallpaper is just like 4K high resolution Midgar picture, like burnt in my eyes at all times during the day. But like, if nobody knows, I'm a huge FF7 fan, like from all time.
What?
And at the same time, like not that I'm not a huge fan. I don't like any spin-offs or anything. I don't think there's a lot of good that was created surrounding FF7 outside of the original game, save for some, like there's some good, but not a lot. But there's a lot of content, a lot of games, a lot of stuff we never saw, but like I did a ton of research, and I still am, for all the stuff that I didn't get to play, or like you know, Dirge of Cerberus, never played, will never play. The old like Nokia phone game that released in 2000, only in Japan, I'll never play it.
What?
But, like I know all about it now. Yeah, Before Crisis, the phone game with the Turks, and there's just so much. That my best friend during prep was a fandom wiki page, where I would just like look up everything about FF7 and the whole timeline, and there's like a big like absolute chronology timeline for all of like the FF7 events through all games, with like official dates from like any publication or official book or game or like any mention. So like it all lives in my head now at all times. I'm stuck with it. I'm cursed with it, but I know like everything that happens in the history of FF7. And so my takeaway from all that is that FF7 works so well because it allows itself to be super goofy. And that's what makes the original game so good, is that it's a video game that knows it's a video game. It does video game stuff. It's super weird, super goofy. And everything else that was made, Advent Children, like before, I can't speak for Before Crisis, but like Dirge of Cerberus, all this like edgy stuff with like too serious. They don't do anything goofy. There's something special about the remake project, let's call it, like the remake, Rebirth, especially Rebirth, where they just respect this world and their characters so much, and they love their characters. They give them the respect they deserve for like 30 years, and it feels deserved. Like this new game, Rebirth, it feels deserved, and that's kind of like, that's one I want to tap into from that universe. The reason why I'm so obsessed with it currently is just because it's such a well-realized world now, thanks to these remakes, that I want our characters to live in that world and be like credible. And I'm playing Rebirth, and I'm like, boy, my campaign wasn't like this goofy. Like I didn't go wild enough, but at the same time, that's not what we can. And I'm like, if I did this, in our campaign, nobody would buy it. Like, it'd go like, this is so weird. And so I like that we keep it grounded still with our very like colorful characters, but like our power level is what I'm trying to say. Our power level is way lower here, and like a huge threat for us is like one Turk is like a severe threat, and we can't mess around. And like you have a friend in Diane who is like a soldier prototype. And I'm like, okay, where does Diane fit on the power level scale compared to Cloud at the beginning of the game? Because Cloud at the beginning of the game is like the same scale, a little stronger than Barrett and Tifa. Barrett and Tifa are kind of like above average people, you know? Tifa has been training with like the world's finest martial artist.
Yeah.
Barrett is just like a naturally like strong dude who's worked in mines all his life. He's got a gun for him.
Yeah, with a
And
gun.
like he's fueled by rage and revenge. Well, so he's a little stronger than the average person. And we kind of like, we're just under Tifa, Barrett, and Cloud at the start of FF7, you know?
Yeah.
But Disc 3, maybe we'll elevate a little bit.
Come to Final Fantasy VII Origins power level. One.
Anyway, what was your question?
No, I would just want to say, like, it definitely felt like that, and I think that that's why I really like playing this campaign too. Is like we feel like we're grounded people, you know. It doesn't feel like we're. I mean, it feels like we're special. It feels like we're protagonists in a story, but it feels like that we all have like lives and things that are concerning around us that sort of like take up space that aren't superhero stuff. You know what I mean? And I really like that, and I think you did a great job of that.
Thanks.
Yeah, that's what I want. I want to tack on to that. That's what I was trying to say earlier with the system. Actually, I made it a point as to why I didn't like the system, but in terms of storytelling, I think you're right, Ian. I think it works really well. Because I got the same feeling when I was on paternity leave, and I was playing, I was redoing Remake, because I never beat it. And I remember running through Midgar in the very beginning of, like, you're doing the Midgar missions with, like, Tifa showing you around. And I was like, oh, this feels like what we were doing. It feels like what we were doing, where it's like, hey, getting to know the people, getting to know the place, do this thing here. I was like, this feels like more human. That's the word. It feels more humanizing, right?
Yeah.
Then I would say, you know, hey, welcome to level 3 in a D&D 5e game. You have access to your sub options. You're now basically almost like a superpower beast. Have fun.
Though I did feel like we were superpowered beasts at some parts too.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, yeah.
for sure. But that felt good too. Not gonna lie. Yeah, I forgot how when you say like it's goofy, like I was watching some like replays of the original Final Fantasy game, and there's so many mini games in that game. Like, yeah, it really like respects the medium, like you said. It's like it's a game that is a game, and like some of the mini games are just like absolutely wild.
Yeah, for no reason.
Yeah, for no reason, but they're fun.
like,
They're so fun.
Rebirth is no different. It's worse even. Like it's the worst offender of minigames. It was like we remember minigames.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about it. It knows what it is. It's very confident in what it's doing. It's not trying to be something. Where Remake was like trying to establish its new identity, like Rebirth is just like we know who we are, we know what this is. Enjoy.
Every minigame in the original that you played, except for the Moogle one, maybe, is an actual mission that you've done that you do in the game, like the submarine one, the bike. Basketball. I'm not too sure. I don't think there's not really any equivalent.
No, that's just an actual arcade.
Yeah. The fighting game too was kind of, I think, its own thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right, Alex. They're all like, even though they're like mini games, they're all like tied together to the story somehow. So there's a lot of variety.
It's the game knowing that like, oh, you like the bike part? Well, here's just a place in the game you can go to just replay it.
Yeah.
Replay the bike part.
I don't think anyone liked the submarine one. I mean, I didn't hate it, but it was interesting. It was interesting as a kid playing and being like,
there you go.
Wow, a submarine game in an RPG? Okay, whatever.
Yeah. Anyway, this is our review of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth.
Sounds like glowing
10 out of 10.
reviews. Yeah. What were the kind of logistics of running this game? The sort of like prep time, the goals that you wanted to hit? Were there any like difficulties? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, well, quickly, like again, this is a running joke now, but I tried to keep it short, and I thought we'd be like doing another 3-episode thing. But I quickly realized that would not be possible. And so, yeah, it got a little bit stressful. Not stressful, but I got a little anxious early on after the second episode, where we recorded in one go episodes 2 and 3. And I was like, oh, I just got to the part where I thought we'd be there at the end of the first episode.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh, now at episode 3, I explained what the plot is. Oops.
Whoops.
So I'm like, no, there was like the ticking clock too. And we started all getting sick around that time. And so we canceled like 3 sessions in a row, I think. And so I started getting like scared of not being able to tell the story I wanted, especially because at first I really wanted to give you more options and just like drop you in the world and let you resolve it, go anywhere you want, like use the path you want to return to Midgar, like do whatever. Because and I think I mentioned it to you, but like I got inspired by Alex's Fallout game. And I'm like, oh, I kind of want that. I want to just like plop you in the world. It's a like contained continent, so I know there's not that much to do here, but you could go anywhere, depending on like what you want to like aim your story towards to.
Mm-hmm.
But after episode 3, I'm like, well, I mean, the second time we recorded, I'm like, I don't think we're gonna have time for that. So I sort of had to nudge you. I'm like, okay, I have all these options for you. Please take the first one and just follow option 1. But if you want later in this thing we're recording, I can give you like the what ifs.
Yes, yeah, I would love that.
There's a few what ifs.
Yeah, especially when we like run down some of the episodes, that would be awesome to know like kind of what we kind of like missed out on.
I think about the Chocobo farm often, where I'm like, oh,
No,
Yeah.
wish we could have made it there. That's okay.
Yeah. Most of the characters that we played for this were returning, so a lot of that work was done, with the exception of Susan, who had joined the show after we had done the Final Fantasy VII and had come in with a new character. So Susan, what was kind of like your inspiration for Elysia, and how did you come to like settle on that kind of character, or that kind of like backstory?
I came in with a very D&D mindset at the very, very beginning, which was fill the gaps. Okay, we got DPS. We got...
I know you like to do that. That's kind of your go-to, yeah.
Yeah. So it was like, okay, you got tank and you got DPS. I'll do heals. Even though the system is like, you change materia, so you don't really need that. So I changed up that pretty quickly. And then I started playing Final Fantasy VII for the first time. And I've played a lot of other Final Fantasy games, so I just went straight up like, okay, protagonist, Final Fantasy character, blonde hair, blue eyes, like, and so I was just like, okay, that's what I want. Like, and I gave Xavier, I want a healer, and I gave description, and then he gave me backstory.
Gotcha. So it was something that you two like worked on a little bit together. What was kind of the behind the scenes conversations? Because even the three of us, Jamie, Alex, and myself, we kind of weren't, we didn't hear about any of these things. So what was kind of the like behind the scenes conversations about that?
I can probably scroll up our Facebook conversation right now. I remember pretty distinctly when Susan got on the show, I think. You started going through all the episodes on the feed, and there was a moment where you hit the Final Fantasy episodes and you're like, look what you made me do, and you just sent me a picture of you playing.
Yeah.
The remake, the Final Fantasy VII remake, yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, it was the original.
Oh, the original one. Oh, yeah, because you were playing them at the same time.
Yeah.
It was in 2022. Here's proof.
Yes. Yeah, and then it became an obsession, and I played them both at the same time. But a lot of the character development didn't really start happening until after session 0, because I didn't have a firm character in mind because I really didn't want to mess with any pre-existing story or whatever Xavier had planned for this one. But then my character became very wealthy after the things I chose, which wasn't intentional. I wasn't going for a wealthy character. It was just her class and then like a role I made. And then suddenly I was nearly one of the richest people in Midgar.
Yeah.
Very well off.
Yeah. So then it was just that kind of gave a big story for it. And then I was like, I don't want her to be wealthy and all for Shinra. So that Xavier took that for me and helped me form what that meant.
I remember you sending me a few blurbs, though. I didn't give you everything.
Yeah.
But you did give me a few blurbs about, like, my character, like, works for Shinra, went on, like, a slums mission, like, or, like, on some military mission, and that's where she found a mysterious materia orb, and then that's where she got her, like, powers from. That's kind of, like, the initial blurb you sent me, and then at that point, I was at a writer's block, or what is that the term?
Mm-hmm. Writer's block, yeah.
Like, I didn't really know. At this point, what I had prepped the most was all of Artie's part. I knew that I wanted this campaign to be, at least to start on Artie suffering. I wanted to take away
all of his money,
stuff.
which you did.
I wanted to. Well, that's a.
Yeah, lost all my money. Lost a friend.
I wanted Artie because there was one line in the first campaign that really stuck out to me, and that stayed with me, was like just Artie saying like, there's something about family. I just can't help myself. Like, I just need to help Joy. There's something about family. I'm just like, oh, that's a character thing. Like, oh, that's important to Artie. So I'm like, okay, so there's this kid in Artie's life. I'm going to take that kid away from Artie in the most cruel possible way. Because I wanted Artie to break bad in this campaign. I wanted Artie to go full Barrett. But then again, after that, after like the scene where Artie reads the letter, or like he reads the letter, and then he's like Tracy brings him to Kenton's grave. Like, I'm like, okay, this is where the idea starts. I'm like, what then? And that's kind of like when Susan came in. I'm like, okay, I need you to give me ideas, Susan. Give me a character so I can get something new, a fresh perspective, new ideas. And you came in with that. I'm like, oh, okay, so I'm going to add a villain to the campaign now. And like, this is how Lieutenant Bradley was created. I'm like, I don't have a villain. I want a villain. So tie Bradley here with that. And like, every character has a little tie with Bradley. And like, now with Elysia, I can bring in some of the like, the mythos of FF7, some of the magic. Like, it's still a mystery. Like, none of you know exactly what the deal is with Elysia, even after the campaign.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But like, now I have like a stack this big of notes about like what's going on, and like I'm good to go. So thanks, Elysia.
Yeah, you're welcome. And I remember where that idea came from because it was right after this message. I'm looking at the message I sent you. I think I literally sent my idea like right after that, because it was the opening scene and Barrett's talking about you could hear the planet screaming if you just listen close enough. And I was like, what if my character hears the planet screaming?
Okay.
Yeah.
You got it. Gives you 3 levels of exhaustion for
Yeah,
half the
right.
game.
Whole game, yeah.
But you can hear it. That was cool, though. I really like that because, like, yeah, as you say, Xavier, like, our characters still don't really... I think they have, like, a vague idea of, like, the live stream just because we living in Midgar, they know about Mako and all of that, but like there's still this like planet mystery that we don't know, let alone like the whole fucking like aliens and all the ancient ones and all that stuff, you know.
We might not get there.
Probably not. We'll see.
We'll see. We don't know.
For those of us who had returning characters, how do you feel that your character changed? Jamie, you kind of said, you know, like mechanically it didn't it was easy to switch between like a disc 1 jewel and a disc 2 jewel. But did anything change or surprise you when from this campaign, from the characters?
For disc 1, it was more of, at least in my perspective, it was more of like a jewel-y campaign where it was like, oh, I've got this cousin, he screwed us over, let's go fix everything. And for this one, I felt like I could kind of like take a step back and just be a little bit goofier, maybe. Jewel, this go around, was just a little bit more lackadaisical, a little bit more silly, which was very fun to do, personally.
In the first one, it felt like Artanis was very much about operating within the rules. Like, hey, I don't want to break all the rules, but like we might bend some here to get this done, right?
Yeah, he was lying a little bit and like just being a little bit more. Yeah, a little bit more. I don't want to say shady. That's not the right word. No, but you're right. He was bending the rules a little bit.
Yeah,
right?
I was more pliable in this one.
Yeah,
right? It's like
yeah.
The moral code was still there and alive and well, but whatever was necessary to keep his friends or his family alive and well, he would be willing to do it. I think it was a big difference this time in terms of like how I played him. I don't feel like I had to play him any differently. The entire basis and idea is kind of like that old overplayed trope of like old man tries to help new youngins succeed at life kind of deal. So not much change there. But then when Xavier basically made the beginning the focal point of like, oh, you had a kid who looked up to you and now he's gone. That kind of threw me for a loop because like, oh, well, how would Artanis handle this? You know, and spoiler alert, he doesn't handle things like that very well.
Yeah, he took everyone. He emptied his bank account to take everyone on a trip to not tell them about it. That's how well he handled it.
But I mean, that part's on me.
Yeah, I don't know how. Yeah, I kind of don't know how much that is like Xavier. Like, and these are the wheels of the train that are going to take us into the story.
It makes sense though. Like, I mean, if it didn't make sense, I would have been like, "Hey, Xavier, what the hell is this?" But this all, I mean,
that's true.
It lined up. Like, it made, to me, it made perfect sense. You know, it's the kind of guy who has something he needs to do, but he doesn't want to get everyone involved, but at the same time wants to make sure they're safe. So he brought them along too. He's like, you just keep them at the pampered side and I'll go to the unpampered side of this place. So it tracks for me anyways.
I felt like the one thing that really changed with Ruby, I like that there were some certain beats that we kept hitting. Like she messed up her shoes and like keeps kind of like getting the rug pulled out from under her, kind of. That's like so that. Funny. Yeah, I like those. I think bit. Yeah, I like those bits. I think they're funny. I think that she got a lot more into the like injustice of the world, like, and I feel like that was maybe a part of the campaign too, because we'll get into it when we talk about the episodes, but you know, Xavier did a really good job of painting the picture of this giant mega corporation like destroying the earth and people's livelihood, and like we kind of saw that, even though we were like we started in Junin and having this great time, like we saw like the people underneath, how their lives were affected by this military base being built on top of them, the people out in the mines who the whole like even the wildlife like had been screwed up. So like those themes were more prevalent in this go around of it, and it certainly like helped to drive me and Ruby like seeing these injustices and trying to be more vocal and do more about them. I liked seeing those stuff in this campaign. I like, because that's what the video game is about. It's about like this big ecological disaster and like the, you know, the colonialism of this huge mega corporation crushing all of the people in it and stuff. Susan, what about you? What was there anything you said like it took you a little while to like find the character beat?
Yeah. So realizing the 3 levels of exhaustion really like helped me realize, okay, this is a short one shot, so I have to lay out all the information. Hey, this is a really easy mechanic. She's super effing tired because I've never had a character have 3-level exhaustions in any campaign. So I imagine it's kind of what Alex is feeling now, like a newborn baby.
I wouldn't say 3. I'm like at like 2 constantly.
Okay.
And then sometimes like
Constant 2.
on the verge of getting back down to 1, and then what just happens, where it's like 3 nuclear bombs go off in back-to-back succession.
Back to 2.
Straight back to 2.
But that's how. So having that mechanic really just helped set the tone for this craziness. But then it was once she started becoming less exhausted, that I had to like figure out who Elysia was normally, which was, it just came up in character. Like setting up her house and having everybody there really helped set that up, like what kind of person she was. And that was all improv, just me trying to figure out, okay, she's probably a giant nerd, so she, like, the only other room that's lived in is her nerdy room, and then like her parents take care of her. And
Let me just tell you, like, that's my favorite scene of the whole campaign, because that's the only one that I didn't, in some way or form, like, think about ahead of time. It was just like, this is all new. I knew you would probably go to your place, but we'll see what happens. Like, I knew you needed the information from the data drive. I'm like, we'll see how to get it. And the scenes between Ruby and Jewel and Elysia in her room, and the description of the house, the neighborhood, just the scene walking the little park, like, it was such a good little memory of this campaign. Like, I really loved it.
yeah.
Can't wait! I can't wait to hear it.
Oh.
Poor Alex. We missed you
And
so bad.
Yeah, we did miss you.
Yeah.
Made a bunch of arty jokes, I think.
Oh yeah.
And while we're on the subject of characters, I just want to say, like, how good it felt to play with your characters again, like, just to see them again. We mentioned that on Discord and when we recorded, but like, it really felt like playing with old friends, and there's a comfort, but like a security. I felt like protected playing with you. Like,
Yeah.
it was very warm, and there's something rock solid about this cast of character that I can't get over.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good. It's a family.
Family.
In many ways.
I was thinking of like taking that Tokyo Godfathers poster and just adding like Elysia's face on the baby.
With like a crazy whip.
Yes.
Crazy belt whip.
Oh yes.
So yeah, let's kind of just run through the episodes a little bit. I'll just give some of the highlights and feel free to, like, shout out something about that moment, or if there's another moment that we've missed here that really you would like to highlight or it stood out to you at that episode, or something from behind the scenes. So yeah, episode 1, our very first recording, we have the heist, which is more of a reverse heist, because we were like putting Deanne into the Mako vents,
Putting money back in the bank.
A reverse heist. And that was like a really intense sequence. Xavier, do you want to part the kimono about that at all?
Sure. That was the initial driving force for me to want to return to this campaign, was like, I want to recreate the bombing mission cinematic intro from like FF7. I want to do that camera pan and then go right into like in media res action scene. And I was always like picturing like Jewel running. Like the first idea was like she's running in between like turret fire that got transformed into something else. But I'm like, it starts with the team doing some sort of like heist, and like in a RoboCop facility, like a foundry. That was just like the initial drive for the story. And I'm like, okay, what do we do? Like, why do we do it, and what is it for? And then to do that, because it's still a TTRPG and not a scripted show, I had to script something a little bit, but like, because basically we're in media res, we enter when the characters are doing the action. all the characters know what the plan is for the heist, right? So I had to inform the group what their plan was and what everybody's roles were and like how the chain of events was. So everybody had sort of like a line by line, like, okay, Ruby does that, Jewel does that after, Artie does that after, because like that was the plan. So that's my excuse for quote unquote
That's how
writing.
heists work, you know?
Yeah.
That's how
Yeah.
heists work.
It's the plan. So the group had a plan, but I told the players, I will throw in some wrenches, and like you will have to react to things that are not on the plan, like a real heist. And when we went from there, I'm like, we're gonna try to do it as concise as possible, especially in editing. Ian, please, can you just like make it a quick edit? And like I overworked our poor editor.
It's my favorite part.
But that was the goal.
My favorite version of Xavier is Ian, please edit Xavier. That's like my favorite version.
Well, it turned out well. All the planning and editing, it turned out really well. So I'm really proud of it for sure.
Yeah, I loved it. I was blown away when I listened to it.
It was a really fun way to jump back into the story too. I think it really grabbed, as a listener, it grabbed my attention right away, you know, because it was just fun.
It was very Final Fantasy VII too. If you wanted everybody to know the campaign we were playing, like it was just hit that note, so like perfectly.
So we do this heist, and things do like the wrenches get thrown pretty quick. Things do go off the rails pretty fast, actually. And we find ourselves in combat with this big sweeper while we're trying to like safeguard Deanne, soaking up some Mako, and we all make it out, and then we sort of like reconvene, and that's when Artanis like comes up with like he's gonna take everyone to Junin, which is kind of cool. And I feel like based on our last game a little bit, because Ruby complains about getting dragged through the sector slums and is like, oh, Artie better take me on a vacation. And so that sort of like comes back in the start of this new campaign, is Artie has in fact like taken them on vacation, which I thought was really cool.
Line. That's the second line that stuck with me, was Ruby wanting to go on a vacation, asking Artie to take her on a vacation to Junin. I'm like, we're doing it. We're doing that.
That's happening.
We're going to Junin. And yeah, this was all before Rebirth had come out. So this was all like Junin envisioned by, informed obviously by, Final Fantasy VII, the 1997 video game, but this was all envisioned by Xavier, which was really cool. We end up traveling to Junin, and almost don't make it, much to Xavier's chagrin. Spent a lot of time in that plane, just kind of chatting back and forth.
I mean, you guys, characters are good. It's good characters. Let them talk. Let them cook.
It is a lot of fun, and I feel like I mean because we all comfortable with each other, like as soon as there's an opportunity to just kind of like riff and go off, I think we just kind of like take that and run with it.
Yeah.
We need leashes whenever that happens.
Yeah. Or we just need to politely like, hey, okay, we need to keep the story going.
I can't do that. I don't have that skill.
Everybody shut the fuck up. We got shit to do.
No.
But I think that at the very least, it was good to help introduce Elysia's character. Like the plane scene was just like, here's Elysia.
Yeah, that's
and it got
true.
us connected.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Because we almost didn't get to Elysia. Like Susan was there for the whole heist, but was just kind of like showed up at the end like, oh, hello, I'm off to the airport. And then,
Yep.
So it was nice to like get to know Elysia, to like see her in this and talk to her.
I liked listening. It was just like, listen to the podcast, but live. I'm the only one who's seen the show live.
Whoa. True.
Maybe that'll change. Who knows?
Oh.
Who knows? Susan, you were also keeping some things close to the vest for this character. I know there was some. I mean, we've discussed them openly here, but all of that stuff about like finding the materia and all those things about your character, you were even like what you did for Shinra, you were kind of like keeping secret, you know?
Yeah, Xavier and I are very similar in this. We like reveals, I've realized. Because even
reveals.
Xavier was like, yeah, don't tell anybody these things. And I was like, yeah.
Good.
But yeah, having played with Xavier for a while, I found that we like to do that. We like our own secrets.
It's fun.
Yeah. So having him as a GM doing that, it was like, yes, now I got someone in my corner to back me up with my secrets.
And you do drip it out, you know, very slowly until the point where like the planet is screaming in your head, basically. But
yeah,
you know, listening as I'm editing this and listening back, I'm like, oh yeah, she's like talking about her belt or something. And at the time I was like, I don't know what Susan's talking about, this belt. But it's like her weapon, you know. And it's just like all of those little breadcrumbs are there, you know. They're all like meticulously spread out.
yeah.
Which
You didn't
is very
follow the
cool.
trail, so I had to slap you in the face with them.
No, we didn't have time to follow the trail. I gotta know, Xavier, after having played the game, how does the Rebirth Junon stack up in your mind?
Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
It's great. It is completely different. And I mean, the city itself, same city, like, no spoilers, but like it's one of my favorite set pieces so far in Rebirth. Like Junon,
Cool.
They made it like smaller and bigger at the same time, so we don't get to explore other streets like I wished we would.
Oh, okay.
We still get to explore just Main Street,
Yeah.
and we don't get a chance to explore the other side of the cannon. We only stay on the right side of it. I'm like, what? But what they did is they added an interior shopping court, like an interior street where you go in one of the doors and it's just like this sprawling, like very like European, like inner, like indoors street with like all the shops are there. So it's a very different Junon from the original. Like the whole game, the original is so grungy, it's so dirty. Everything's dirty and grimy. Everything's clean in the remake, and Junon is just like so gorgeous. And I think I'm talking about the video game again. Give me a second. But again, I did so much research just before we played the Junon games. I went back in my games on the Switch and like played with the like, not the cheats, but like you can speed up like the game speed and like make yourself invincible and shit. So I'm speed running through like the flashback and like go get a chocobo and like go to Junon as fast as you can. And then I replay all the shops and I take thorough notes of like all the shops, what the characters say in the shops. So like the weapon vendor that Alex went to and says, "Yo, you want weapons or something?" Like that's something the character says in the OG.
Nice.
Nice.
And so like
I was wondering why. I remember I was like, damn, Xavier's NPCs seem vastly like off the wall. Some of them are just so different.
but
That
like
makes sense.
in Rebirth, there's so many. It's when I said it's a labor of love for the game, the characters and everything, even like the NPCs, like there's an item shop in the original where you go in, there's like 4 girls greeting you like welcome at the same time. It's there in the game, but it's not the item shop, it's like the book shop. But if you go upstairs from that, just like the OG, if you go upstairs, there's the accessory shop. There's an old man selling you the accessories. He says he used to be a soldier, and then when you come back later in the game, he has a black robe. In Rebirth, like if you go one flight of stairs above the bookshop, there's just like, it's so different, but there's like a counter, the guy sells accessory, but there's just this dude like coughing, he's like, you want something? And then you hear like an NPC on the side just say like, I hear he was in soldier. And like they just
It's very
respected
detailed.
everything to the letter.
Yeah.
And that's blowing me away, but only because I've been so nerdy about this and I know every detail, because like if you just walk through it, you don't notice that.
Yeah.
You would miss it.
Yeah.
Now, on the flip side of that, Under Junon is completely different. Like the OG and the new Junon are two different things. They really lean into the fishing village more, and it's like all built off of like a cliff wall. So like the whole city is just like near a wall, and the water is underneath it, like down below. So it doesn't feel like a small rustic village. It really feels like a coastal fishing town. There's a lot of like Southern American vibes to it too, and so like the idea of like a mechanic shop there, and like it's all off, but the whole Kenton thing would still have worked. Like it would have been different. It would have helped like building ships or something. But the mine in our game is like a 5-hour drive, because I was basing it off of the OG. And in Rebirth, it's like a stone throw away. You're like, it's like right there. Exit the mine, and you're like, well, here's a tune on. So like it doesn't change our game. And also the premise of the remake is that like there's multiple timelines are fine in FF7.
Yeah.
Who gives a shit? So we're good. We're in the clear.
Nice.
But yeah, other than that, like it's less green too when you're near Junon. But like when you get further away, it's like it's greenish. There's more greenery, more nature. So that part was we were good with that. But one thing they but added to Shinra, and I'm very surprised by it. It's like, how do you make Shinra worse? What's the one thing they didn't portray Shinra as in their depiction of Shinra so far? They made them occupiers now.
Yeah,
they like invaded Junon and built it on top of them. You have like just Junon people who lost their war, and they're living on our land. You see like people protesting at the lift to go to Junon. They're like locked behind just like a big fan. The imagery is it's impossible not to draw connections to like geopolitical current situations. You see like Shinra like troopers with their guns on the other side of the fence with tanks behind them, just people going like, our land, our lift, our country. And you're like, wow, they made Shinra way worse.
Yeah.
Yeah. Congrats.
Way real.
Possible.
Japan,
Way real.
Base take Japan. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Base Japan.
And one last detail that's not important because it's just me gushing about the game again. But like we were like, I don't know how they would bury someone with their like. There's no cross, but like what the religious thing would be. Just outside of Junon, there's literally a spot where a dude is keeping the graves of fallen comrades in the war against Junon. You see like shallow graves, little dirt mound, and then they just have like piles of rocks like piled on top of each other.
Oh yeah.
I don't know what the name for that is. And I'm like, oh, there it is.
Yeah.
They explain they answered my question.
Yeah. Just a little grave marker, little cairns, stone cairns.
Cairns, yeah.
That's cool.
So yeah, that was my Junon sidebar.
I'm so glad. I'm so glad
TED
it like lived up to your expectations, because you speak so highly of this game and delved so deep into it just for this campaign. So awesome.
Still disappointed we don't get to go to another street level. That would have been great.
The next timeline. Speaking of going to other street levels, in our next episode, we kind of go to the spa. We have a spa day with the Goyles, who do a bunch of activities while Artie travels below. And this was another time where like it sounded like you and Alex had, because you had built, as you had said, you had sort of like built this campaign around this idea of Artie's family, like the people that he counts as family. And this is all stuff that we didn't know. So did you guys like sort of hash this out or have some conversations behind the scenes about this? How did you like build up about this part of the campaign as it started as we now know that it's come to light?
Xavier, because he sent us all emails like, hey, here's your character and kind of a little bit about what's going on and what they've been doing since last time. Well, for us anyway, the returning ones. Mm-hmm. For me, it was like, oh, there's a letter from this kid and there's the story of this kid. Here you go. And in the letter, it's like, oh, okay, that's interesting. And so when we get to this point in the story, that's when all the stuff clicks for me as a player. Like, oh, okay, this is what he was talking about.
That was basically it, though. We didn't work on Kenton as a like backstory character together. I gave it to him, basically. I like the idea of him. I like to think that when in the first campaign he said, "There's something about family, I can't help myself." There's something like Artie was thinking about Kenton when he said that.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's kind of like where I based Kenton on. But beyond that, that's when we were ready to do the characters, the new sheets for the characters, and I wrote you these emails like that. I'm like, okay, well, yeah, there it is. That's your nugget for this campaign.
Here's what
But
you get to
nothing
play
more
with, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
I didn't tell him he was dead, though.
I was learning things in real time as Artanis was learning certain things in real time.
Yeah.
Like the fact that he's dead, I didn't know that.
Yeah, you just
That
you
was a
just
surprise.
found out right then that
Yeah.
he was dead. Yeah, what was that
Yeah.
like?
That was weird because it's like, oh, it's not a real person, so it's tough for me in my head to kind of get in that headspace. Like, oh, okay, finding out someone that you knew is dead and that you basically mentored is gone. I was like, I've never personally had that happen in real life, so it's kind of hard to relate. But I was like, what would Artanis do? And I think it shows in the recording too. It's like everyone thinks you have to behave a certain way when things like that happen, but like really you just let the emotions come when they come. There's no rules on how to feel something like that, so I kind of try to put that into character play, so to speak, with Artanis, where he's just kind of going through it. And I think at one point it hit someone, he's walking back to the house, I think, or when he's in the garage trying to keep himself busy looking for something. That's, I think, if I remember correctly, that's when I think I made it hit him the hardest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you did great.
Yeah.
And, that's a tough ask too, because it's not even an NPC you've interacted with on air or like while playing. It's just like, nice to meet you. I'm dead.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
We also we meet Sybil the Turk, and we actually learn her name. And I love Sybil. Sybil's probably my favorite NPC of this, because she's just so classy and such a cunt, and she's got this like there's like this perfect like enemies to allies thing that gets teed up that I really enjoy. I for the end of the campaign, and I think that's really neat, and I like those kind of stories. And yeah, I like Sybil a lot. She was probably my favorite NPC.
She went from cunt to serving cunt.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Well, she's always serving cunt, honey.
But that's what I enjoyed so much from the first campaign, was like your interactions with her, like how you hated her, and she's easy to play because I don't have to talk much. I just have to say like, she makes a smile.
Yeah,
She smiles at that.
Right.
yeah.
And like that's it. And
Nothing gets to
for
her.
me, it's super easy.
Yeah, just rolls off her back. Whatever.
But yeah, the idea of like enemy to friend pipeline is also something like I didn't plan on it in campaign 1. So like she's the antagonist of this one.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, wouldn't it be fun? Because I like a good villain turn,
Mm-hmm. We all love a redemption story. We all love a redemption.
And I was
story.
like, there is a villain now. It's Bradley.
Mhm.
There's a bad guy, and like I gave a few hints at the top of the campaign about him.
Mm-hmm.
Like I just dropped his name a few places at the start, and then he comes back at the end.
Yeah.
But
Again, great like breadcrumbs, and again like. At the time, I was probably like, "This is Bradley. What is he talking about? I don't know." Artie goes through Kenton's stuff. We find out that he's communicating with Barrett Wallace, and that he is involved in the really very early stages of Avalanche. Basically, he may even be designing their logo for them, pretty much.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And Artie gets a little hard drive. And kind of picks up the thought to like pick up Kenton's trail sort of to calm by way of the mines, basically. The next episode, we open up with a shopping montage, which is very fun. We Xavier, you kind of at this point, I think you've talked a little bit about this, but you were kind of doing a bit of restructuring because of our pacing. Where did you, just real quick, because I know we've kind of already kind of gone over this, but like, where did you think we would be at this point?
I thought like getting to the spa was like the end of, somehow, I don't know why I thought that, but I thought the heist would go rather quickly because I didn't expect like so many troops to get involved with it and like so many developments to go. I thought like, okay, bing bang, we beat the sweeper, we're out. Like we do the scene, the 2 soldiers are dead, and you leave. And then we do like quick, we'll get a notification, and then quick, okay, take the plane quickly, and then okay, we're at the spa. And so I was like, okay, from this point on, next episode, Artie finds out about Kenton, and then he decides how he wants to continue Kenton's work or whatever, because there's the disc in the bag, there's like his plan to go through the mountains himself, there's Wallace saying he can go through the mines, and then like anyone could just decide to take any other route. And that's actually where the alternate choices would have been, is like how, like, what do you do from here? And so yeah, I had thought of going either through the mountains up north, like geographically that would cut you directly to Midgar, and I had like, I had monster battles designed for that, and like a few quick like beats to hit for this, because that's basically like if you went through that route, you would end up on the cliff where like, no spoilers for FF7, but like what is that a spoiler?
Yeah, well, I mean, the game came out a long time ago.
Where Cloud's sword is planted.
Yeah, there you go. There's a sword in the ground.
Those who know.
Yeah. Got it. Yep. Got it.
But also, fun fact, each of these branches had a special item to steal.
Oh.
And if you use the steal materia on one specific monster in this branch, Ruby would have gotten the weapon called the Australian Frisbee. For real, no joke. Because one of the monsters in that region in the OG drops a weapon called the boomerang. For Yuffie.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, this is perfect. You get a fan that's boomerang shaped.
Oh, that's such a good
Frisbee.
Easter egg. Oh,
So,
that's such a good Easter egg. Love it.
And then there's the mine route, which we did take, and then you could have just like decided you wanted to grab a wild chocobo at any point too. That was like on the table. But that's when I was like, we don't have time. Alex has a baby, and we're all sick. I think that's the episode where my voice is completely fucked.
Yeah,
too.
yeah, it is. Yeah, we're either getting sick or getting sick at that point. Yeah.
I'm like,
I forgot about that.
Please go to the mine.
Yeah.
Because also the mine was the one I was most excited for, because it was the Zolom set piece. I'm like, please go to the mine. It's fun.
That's the one. Well, I'm glad we did. Yeah, and that's right. It was to take the whole thrust was to take the drive to Calm to like expose what was on it. Right. That's what it was.
Well, that was up to you, really.
Yeah.
Like the drive was like, there's information on the disc. What do you do? What do you want to do with it?
Yeah, got it.
Basically.
We also I think we found out this previously, and we can talk a little bit about it. I know we've already kind of brought it up, Susan, but this is where we find out about Elysia's condition, to sort of like what happened to her, and the events that happened. And yeah, we've kind of gone over that, but is there anything else you want to add about that?
Just that I literally had the email open from Xavier, and I think I read from it, and that was I literally just did info dump. Just like,
I was like, wow, Susan remembers all of it so well.
Like, I have it open right now, and I was just like, yep, okay. Yeah, so that's how that happened.
Yeah, cool. Gotcha. Cool. Yeah, and Elysia kind of like gets the idea, I should get out of the city to like shake this exhaustion. That's what I would like to do. And this kind of like starts, we kind of like reconvene to come up with the idea of like going camping, which Jewel is very excited about the prospect of, and I think has one of the funniest payoffs in the whole campaign, about her like about her like desire to go camping and like her excited to be camping. And that we sort of head there. We head to the Mithril Mines. In a truck we get on Tracy, I believe, right? Is that Tracy's truck? We get on his truck called TH3W4Y, the way. And we all get on the way and go, and we are on our way to the Mithril Mines. And Elysia has a weird dream. She's like trying to hack the drive at this point, or decrypt it. And she has a weird dream where she meets Kenton, who I can't remember if he says I'm dead, but we know he's dead. Like, at least the audience knows he's dead.
Yeah. Elysia says, aren't you supposed to be dead? And he's like, whatever, let's move on. We got other things to worry about. Something to that effect.
It's like, I don't have much time or something.
Yeah.
It's really Xavier saying, hey, let's go. Come on, let's get through this.
Yeah.
But it's also like, it's fleeting. I didn't want like this like talking with a ghost thing to be as long as you want. I'm like, no, he manages to reach out before he returns to the planet. Basically, that's his last shot at getting his message across.
Yeah, that's cool. I like that. And we kind of get that little breadcrumb of the live stream, that little glimpse of like that energy of the planet and that sort of the lore of this world. We meet Keenan the foreman at the mines. He kind of like explains that it's difficult to keep running these mines because Shinra's constructing another Mako plant and is basically like destroying the landscape and destroying and like uprooting the wildlife, and they're coming in and attacking, and it's making life miserable for pretty much everyone that isn't Shinra. Dirk, one of the miners, gets in trouble. He gets lost in the mine, and we have to go fight. We fight some more snakes and a Madouge.
Yay.
Madouge. And the
Madouge. Madouge had a boot for a pair of boots to steal for Jewel on him.
Oh, really?
Just saying it now to make it worse.
What kind of boots?
There's better boots with better materials, but they were called Grand Boots because you could steal the Grand Glove for Tifa from the Medouges.
Very cool.
It's another thing that pleases my neurons.
Who was holding who had the steel materia?
It was Jewel. I think Jewel had the.
I had it. Yeah.
It's okay. No blame. No pointing
I'm
finger.
I was
It's
just
okay.
wondering because I don't remember. Because I was thinking like I don't even remember getting it. I can't remember us talking about it.
That's the kind of thing that we did, though, is we sort of like, and I'm sure I'm sure Xavier may have been like pulling on his hat a little bit, but like we kind of like got our materia, because in the game you spread it around, you put it on whatever character you want, you take it off, you put it back on. But we kind of like went like, oh, this is the materia that I like. I think I'll just kind of like hang on to this.
Yeah.
That's okay. That's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
With the exception of when Alex left, because then we took all your material.
Yeah. Picking from the carcass, that's fine.
Most importantly, at the end of this episode, when we defeat these monsters, we do get fashionable scarves at the end.
Oh, yes, velvet scarves.
Yeah,
That was a fun little detail.
Yeah.
It came out of nowhere.
Lovely. We end up traveling through the mines, and we convince Keenan to keep us traveling to Calm, I believe, is the idea, on his lunch break.
He offered just like as far as this Chocobo Ranch.
Right.
As close as he could get on his lunch break.
That's
Basically
right.
giving you just the tease of going Chocobo riding, even
Right.
though I knew that wasn't going to happen.
Never gonna happen.
Because I knew after the Zolom thing, he would offer you to go directly to Midgar because you saved them. I'm like, yeah, either that or they're dead and the campaign's over. So two options.
I kind of noticed that like travel was a big part of this. It happened. We spent a lot of time traveling on planes and on vernaculars and helicopters and trucks and stuff. What was the idea behind like having travel be highlighted in that way? Can you speak on that a little bit?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I wanted to feel different from the first campaign for sure. And I think I wanted to highlight that aspect of FF7 too, but like make it feel like a big world, make it feel just so vast, and that there is space in between these hotspots. And like even in Rebirth, again, last time I speak about Rebirth probably, but it's huge, it's incredible, it's so big. But still, like if you try to like transpose these 3D environments on like real dimensions for the real world, it's like, well, yeah, okay, this continent is big like a small village if you walk it through it. Like, yeah, but it feels big in the context of the game.
Right.
But in the context of the real world, if you want something to be big, you have to be sitting in an uncomfortable car for 5 hours. And that's kind of like I wanted to depict. I wanted it to feel like Junon was far, and doing the detour through the mines was taking like a long time. And if you were to walk it, it would be even longer.
Gotcha.
Because, yeah, it has to feel like, a planet. If the planet is in pain, it has to be a planet. So let's make it big.
Yeah. Set a scale to it. Yeah.
And then when you do return to Midgar, then you feel like you're back in that, that rotting pizza.
Yeah.
You're back in this
pizza.
And
covered sky thing. The world is not here anymore.
Yeah.
There's no sky, and like you're back in this prison city.
And that's what I love about the illusion of Midgar and well, any big city, or fictional or otherwise, is like it's always so condensed that it feels like it's super huge. And then when you step out, you're like, oh wait, this is huge. Like this is actually huge. Yeah, we end up traveling through the swamp, and we kind of see the other side of the Shinra industrialization, sort of like disrupting and destroying the planet. That's kind of like what this swamp is. It's sort of like made because of the Shinra stuff. We get chased by this giant Zolom, which is another giant snake. And
this one I had to. They forced my hand.
We do get the payoff of the funniest payoff of the camping stuff, where Jewel just screams, "I love camping!" like launching this truck over a bridge. That was just one of my favorite moments. I just love that. Was very fun. Yeah.
Yeah, all the bits about like throwing Olive Keen's stuff through the window was also pretty funny.
Yeah. Poor guy.
Sorry about your lunch break, boss.
Yeah.
Elysia sent him so much gil afterwards. Trying to remember the name of the currency.
I really liked that chase sequence too. That was sort of a highlight of the Everyday Heroes system. How did it hold up for all of you, especially you, Xavier, for planning it?
You all go first. I speak too much.
Yeah, Alex, how did this chase sequence feel with especially with your criticisms of this system?
I enjoyed it a lot. I think this one for me, this outshone most other TTRPG chase systems or chase mechanics. It was very simple, very easy to understand, and I know Xavier, put some stuff in there for us to mess with, like the propane containers or whatever the explosive gas was.
That was an off the cuff line I said just because someone had lighted a match or something. I didn't plan on it to be used in the chase. That was great.
Okay, well, either way, that just shows your masterful example and handling of being a GM, I think.
Saw you.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, you could feel the tension was palpable for sure. I think also because I know what those fucking snakes are, like Zoloms. I know how dangerous they can be. First-hand experience from playing the game as a child and as a teenager and adult. So now adult me was like, I don't want to get caught up with this thing. Like, really, really working to make sure we don't get caught. So I think that added an extra element to it. But yeah, it was... I think in itself, that chase could have been its own episode if we had like, the time permitting and there was no deadlines. I think the chase could have been like its own episode for sure if Xavier really wanted to go wild with it.
It's fun that the system tells you to put a time limit on it, a round limit. So you're like, okay, the chase is over after 4 rounds. That makes it clear for everybody. It's also not designed for a giant snake chasing a car. So I had to, make some adjustments. But like normally it's made for multiple vehicles or on foot. Like the same system applies to both. And it's like the fact that you were able to do normal actions just because you're in a car changes up stuff, while the snake is just being a snake and doesn't do drive checks. It had like I made it roll athletic checks, so I'm like, okay, we'll do it like that. But I really want to try another chase at some point.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna keep it in my back pocket, especially on foot, because Jewel has tons of on foot perks for, for character.
I remember specifically in that scene, I was like, "Oh, I've got chase stuff," and I was like going through all of my cool stuff, and I was like, "Oh, but none of it currently applies."
Yeah. So I will keep that in mind for next time.
I was just gonna say I had the opposite moment of Jewel. I scrolled down on my sheet and I was like, "Holy shit, scientist! I forgot how many plans you have." Yeah, that was the moment that I realized that, oh yeah, this is my class. Like, I just have so much stuff on me at all times and I could change it. Oh, this has a weakness to lightning and I have a thing where I can make lightning randomly. Like, yeah,
so that's part of my balance patch for next time. But one of my regrets, well, not regrets, but like Ian, like you wanted to have Keen break so that the snake would hit the thing, and I kind of like said no, but, and I kind of regret that. That's a bad move on my part, because I was like, this snake's gonna fuck you up.
Right. Well, if I remember, I rolled terribly that night.
I made you roll for it. At least. I gave you.
You did. It was very fair. Like, and I remember like, because I love stuff like that. Like, I love where you're like, you have this and this. You go to A and B however you want. Like, go. And I love shit like that because then I can look on my character list and be like, oh, well, I want to do this and this and this and this. Can I do this? And so like, you know, breaking the car into the snake sound like super fun. There's so many things I want to do. I just rolled like dog shit that night and nothing worked. But it was still super fun. And of course, then we get Jules' moment of grabbing the reins and just like driving the car. Yeah.
You could have eventually fought the snake. I just thought like maybe in that moment it wasn't the best moment, but like it had hit points and everything. At a certain threshold, it would have cast beta.
Oh yeah, classic.
And
beta
you would
cuck.
have learned it. You would have learned it in your enemy skill.
Yeah, but you would have died. Like that's not that's not a low level spell.
Nah,
so
that's true.
It wasn't fully grown yet. There's hope.
Well, yeah, we do end up getting away, and this is when we have the party split, and Artanis decides he's gonna go on to Calm by himself, and the girls are gonna go and make sure Elysia is okay. And yeah, this was kind of impromptu, and sort of impromptu that night too, because I think we were kind of like, oh, what are we gonna do? Like, how are we gonna like fix this situation? Because we knew like Alex had to go. So
yeah, I think we were inducing that weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we had recorded the bit with you. When you say you want to go to Calm, that's actually gonna be a re-record that we haven't re-recorded yet.
We haven't
parting the kimono, because when we recorded it, I already was like, okay, I'm coming to Midgar too, and we ended the recording there.
Yeah.
I was thinking. I've been thinking about that for like the past 3 weeks. I was like, did I say Calm? I don't remember what I said.
Yeah, so you're hearing it now. We haven't yet done that, so whatever you're hearing at the show, or unless you're one of those wild people that have listened to this before the show.
Yeah, what are you doing?
That's true.
Yeah. Time is weird.
It really paid off for you. Listen now, right? Like,
Right? Now you know
now you
all
know.
our secrets.
Our last recording, the girls find themselves back in Midgar, and we get Sybil to take us back to Elisa's place in Sector 5?
5.
Oh yeah, 5.
We find out Elysia is kind of a lonely girl with few friends or relationships, and yeah, we kind of talked about this a little bit, but I remember that moment too. I think it was like the description of like a place set at a table where she eats a meal, and like that's the only thing that like looks lived in at all is just like this tiny little spot, and it was like, oh, she doesn't get out much, and she's alone a lot. Like that stuck in my brain.
Yeah, it came together right then. You heard my thought process as it was happening, but it kind of like fell into place what I was thinking of Elysia, because I was like, okay, so she's like this super smart kid who probably graduated early and then like went to Shinra because of all the propaganda. So there was no one like telling her or no one that she could go to for advice. So she made all these decisions because she wanted to do the best she could. And then she just drank the Kool-Aid, and then like, so because of that, I didn't think she had a group of friends, because then they would have discussed it or they would have gone in together. And then I was thinking about, okay, her parents bought this place. I wanted her to live alone. So that means that like she wanted her independence, but at the same time, her parents still take care of her, which is why I was like, this fridge is stocked. And then I was like, then after the accident, she would have been even more alone. So it just like, the darkened windows, and just like the only places she touches are like these two places. So it was just like, it came together, but it really like, it was the thoughts that were already kind of there. Like I was just filling in the gaps.
I like that you mentioned that, because it's like, it seems like Elysia is sort of like trying to battle not only herself, but her parents for like her independence, like to really like make herself stand out. And I hope we get to see the next time in 3 years when we do this, because like the counterpart to that is so strongly is Jewel, who is so just like unabashedly herself, you know, and is just so like bravely, uniquely her authentic self, you know. To like see those two contrast, I think is really interesting. I hope we get to see more of that.
Yeah, and you know Jewel crashes at Elysia's place all the time. She loves that couch and that TV.
Got the best snacks.
The visual of like all these untouched places by Elysia, and like immediately Jewel has touched more stuff than Elysia ever has in her own home.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Now just thinking about it, how easily that Ruby and Jewel just filled in those spots in Elysia's life that were missing. Just
yeah. I love that scene so much.
Yeah, it's a good
Can't wait to hear it again.
Couple months. Can't wait to hear it for the first time.
Elysia finally cracks this drive, and there's a lot of Shinra documents on it, they're classified about like documents and experiments, mostly all cover-ups that are, I think, like rubber stamped by Lieutenant Bradley, basically.
Yeah, he's the puppet master behind the narrative of all these cover-ups, and he's the only name that's like not redacted,
right?
Or like that was easily decryptable.
Yeah, because most notably are the two subjects that we have, which was Subject 72, which I don't know if we tied all the threads together about that.
We did not, and that was what I regretted not opening.
Yeah, and
it's in my notes.
Yeah, and the other one was Subject 28, who we confirmed is Dion, who is the friend of ours, of our characters. But yeah, Subject 72. Do you want to? Was there something there that we missed that we should have threaded that needle, or?
I can't say.
Okay.
But what I can say is that I don't know. And I'm glad you looked at the ends thing. The real answer is that whichever one you picked would have been Deanne. That's the real trick.
I got you.
But
got you.
The only thing I did was like imply there's others still alive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe others like her, or like
Exactly.
other weird soldiers prototype kind of people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for hardcore wiki going fans like myself, all that information in the cracked files is just like factual stuff that happens in the OG timeline. Even like the Calm cover up, they mention it in Rebirth. Hey, I didn't know. Hey.
Oh.
Although I was off by 30 years, they made it way more recent.
Oh.
Hey, maybe there were two. Maybe there were two.
could have been
Right?
Cover-ups.
Calm cover-ups. Yeah.
But I'm like, oh, they mention it, so like that's another thing. I'm like, yeah, they're aware of all the spin-off stuff, and they like pepper it too, and I'm just makes the world bigger, and that's what I'm doing. So I'm like, hey, I could make a video game too. So I was just happy to hear it when I played the game.
Jewel after this, Jewel gets a distress call that some monsters are attacking Sector 6, and the girls get Sybil to taxi them over to help. They fight some monsters and try and save some of the people in Sector 6, and Lieutenant Bradley does show up with a whole bunch of Shinra soldiers to recapture Deanne, basically. Deanne escapes. She leads the majority of the forces away from Sector 6, and we convince Sybil to help us fight the remainder of the forces, which is really cool. Like I said, we kind of like get a little bit of this like enemies to allies kind of like set up here, and I just love it. I think it's really neat.
And you rolled like a godly persuasion too for
Yo,
that specific moment too.
yeah.
So that was a really good payoff. I'm like, I knew it was a possibility, but I'm like, I'm not just gonna give it to you, but your speech in the helicopter too was so good. I'm like, I'm giving it to you. So like, just roll well, please. And you like exploded that roll. I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
And so she summoned Ifrit.
Yeah, and then we have this battle where we pull out every summon we have, basically.
Yeah, that's definitely in my balance patch.
I think for at least for me, it was like, okay, I know that this is the final episode. I've got the stuff. I might as well use it up, you know?
I'm glad we saw Kieran again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Me
Old
too.
buddy.
And for me, it was kind of like whenever you listen to it, Alex, it was kind of like me like rubbing it in like, hey, you could only summon him for 1 round. I summoned him for 4. Like,
Great.
that's why I took it.
Yeah, you made short work of these 4 dudes.
I love it.
Did you listen to my effort track that I recorded for you or not yet?
I haven't. I haven't gone through the efforts, no, but I
think you're
have them
gonna
in
like
my
that
little
one.
special folder.
I kept listening to it. I'm like, this is absurd. I gave it my all.
I appreciate that though. Oh, that's so good. Yeah, and that was an epic battle. That was really cool and fun, and yeah, the medium in which we played it was really awesome.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think the table is still mostly intact from when we played, so I might able to be like grab a screenshot because it was animated too, like all this pixel
the little
moves.
fires.
Yeah, there's little fires. There's a little like movement from each of the little like pixels.
man.
Yeah, our little sprites, we can move
Little
them around
sprites.
and do
Yeah.
stuff.
It was cool.
It was cool.
Added the boss fight music too. I was playing in the background.
Yeah.
There's all kind of sound effects going off when
Oh,
people
yeah,
got
I have a
killed and
soundboard.
stuff. Yeah, it was.
Oh, and all the summons had sprites as well.
Yeah,
Oh, damn.
it was incredible. It was really incredible. It was special. It was a special finale. Yeah.
Yeah. You should have been there, Alex. It was pretty cool.
We'll get you for the next one.
Ignoring the birth of my child.
You had your own little special summon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't dismiss this one. This one stays.
But it still drains all your MP.
MP.
This goes negative.
Yeah. Then we had a little epilogue for each of the characters, which was really nice, and that was really cool. We had a great campaign. Yeah. Go ahead, Susan.
I was gonna say my favorite epilogue was Ruby's. When the soldier showed up, and Ruby was like, "Who are you?"
Yeah, that was
Who the
pretty great.
fuck are you?
I love that too, because I'm so glad you brought that back, Xavier, because I knew who that guy was, and I was like, oh my god, he brought him back. That's so amazing.
I thought it would be a cute thing, and you made it like the most powerfully hilarious thing.
I just imagine like KO, like
like all the way from Junon. And I like the picture he bought like his flower from like a young Aerith.
Aw.
Yeah.
Like, that's a neat thought.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to like be on the show, but like, yeah, that's what he did.
That's how he picked it up. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
I mean, Alex, you haven't recorded
My epilogue yet? No.
your epilogue yet, but I can speak on it yet since this will air after the show airs, so we can talk about it and you'll be informed a little bit. But Artie, when he went to Calm, met with Barrett.
Oh.
And you found yourself a kindred spirit in Barrett, in what he lost, his quest for, making Shinra pay and stuff like that. And if you didn't break bad in this campaign, Barrett will probably try to radicalize Artie a little bit.
I mean,
your actual epilogue is you like going to see Max at the orphanage, see him play with his toy soldier, 1/35th scale soldier that you gave back to him, and then you're like, I gotta go. I have a bodyguard job to go to, and you go to one of the slums like outer gates, and you open the gate for one Barrett Wallace with his daughter coming into Midgar.
wow.
That's your epilogue.
I got them into Midgar. Whoa.
Yeah.
All right.
Very cool. Oh, that's so cool. Ah, that's so neat.
So when I read in the note in like episode 3 from Barrett, I only said Wallace, and like that's the only name. Yeah. Did you all pick up on Barrett at all at first?
I did
No.
not.
Susan did. Yeah, Susan did. Like nodding.
Yeah. Yeah. But I think I just have the benefit of I was playing the remake and I was playing the original on the Switch. So I was very in FS7.
That's perfect. This is excellent. Sharing a wavelength.
Yeah.
I think I only picked it up when I was editing the episodes. Like when we were recording, no, I had no idea. I was just like, oh, Wallace, this is an NPC.
Yeah.
But yeah, when I was editing, I was like, oh, that makes
Well, I mean,
a lot of sense.
It really wasn't meant to be obvious. It was meant to be like, okay, because in the timeline, his home, his village got burned down by Shinra like
Shinra,
6 months ago.
Oh,
he's fresh.
Like real fresh.
He's lived in Cosmo Canyon for a bit. He learned about planetology there. He's like, oh, there's this avalanche group. I might want to build my own cell for it. Moves to the eastern continent. I'm like, well, he needs to get there by boat, so he has to go through the mines. He's a miner. Then I made him work in the mines for a bit to make money, get on his feet, go with Marlene to Calm until he can get like a fake ID to get into Midgar. And that's a timeline, and you're at the point where he's waiting to get into Midgar.
Trying to get in there. Yeah, got it. Oh, that's cool.
And your characters will make him go to Midgar. Very important.
We set
now
him
you're
up.
getting
Yeah, we're part of it.
the power level thing we were talking about earlier. Now you're getting there. Now your power level is starting. You're getting mixed up and stuff now.
I honestly, I can't wait. That just gets me super, super horny to play Disc 3.
Yeah.
I mean, if it can help the horniness, I can tell you a few keywords about what I want the next campaign to be.
Yes, please do.
Midgar, sandbox, noir mystery
Yes.
with
Ooh.
40% epic set pieces.
Ooh, I like it.
Instead of having
I'm built for noir. That's the whole point.
very.
And so, like, instead of having this just journey, this like A to B thing that we did this time, now I want to do, because we promised no time limit next time.
Yeah, 100%.
No babies.
Yeah.
And I just want to build a whole Midgar, like every sector up, like upper plate, lower plate, and just go like, you need to save Diane. That's your goal. Have fun.
Go do
Where
go
is
do
she?
it.
Go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
That would
We're
be
gonna do a
cool.
time skip again. Where are our characters now? We want to save Diane. Out you go. Explore Midgar.
Nice.
Already thinking of
So-
the outfits. That's so cool. I actually cannot wait. That is really cool.
Yeah.
So do y'all have any other like favorite moments or standouts or anything that you wanted to bring up or that we didn't get a chance to talk about?
My time was short, but I know that when I listen to it, my favorite moment is going to be when they go to Elysia's house. I can already tell.
It was good. It was
Just from the
good
description and the way you guys keep talking about it.
Yeah, we just had to like lose some extra baggage, and we really got into the groove.
Yeah. Once we lost all the
Artie's such a
riffraff.
downer, man.
Yeah, we really
It was just
found
the
the
girls.
center. Yeah, the nucleus.
Yeah.
How dare we? How dare we? We're sisters in the Bene Gesserit, Susan. How the
I
fuck
know.
dare we?
We're each other's emotional support podcaster, and this is how
I'm
I
not
treat you
feeling
after you're
supported.
gone.
I'm not feeling supported.
Can I ask everyone, like, what do you want for your character, or from the next campaign, or like where do you see your character? Like, what did we not tackle for your character that you'd like to explore, or like anything, just any thought, any character thought?
I think for Jewel, she's got this whole underlying crime family thing going on that there's just hasn't been any time to really explore, but is pretty neat. Even in the little like crumbs that we've gotten where it's like daddy really wants her back and she's like, no, I'm not going back. So I think that would be kind of fun to explore. Just to see what the dynamic there is a little more.
I'd love to see that too. In your little epilogue, we got some of her like family stuff, and I was like, oh, this is still like a thread that we haven't tugged on, and I really want to tug that thread.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is me saying like, this is not over. We're playing again.
Yes.
I mean, I kind of already tipped my hand. I really want to see an enemies to allies in Sybil. That would be my wish, and I think where I see the trajectory of Ruby going is she probably is. I mean, she's probably radicalized now. She's probably fully radical. You know, she's full on. If there is an avalanche, she's in it. You know what I mean? Like, because having Deanne taken away really hurt her. Like, I think that was really, really tough.
Would you say this is your Empire Strikes Back second part of a trilogy?
Yeah, you could say that for sure.
Good. I worked hard on that.
God, that gets me every time when they're just standing there by the window, just watching the ship go. Oh,
Go find Han.
like it's so dark. The world is so dark, but it's always darkest before the dawn because they have hope and it's out there. Yes.
For Elysia, I would like this one small thing. Well, two things, but the small thing first. I want to do her limit break because I did have one prepared.
So sorry about that.
No.
Just needed to get in melee more.
Yeah, no. And I want to do that because I was made of glass. But she did have a limit break, but I'll save it for next time, I guess. And then the second thing, like for her, I would like to see her get higher up in the science division, but now with the intention of just finding out more.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Did I mention noir mystery?
Yeah. So she's going to be the inside man. That's what I'd like for her. To be like the double agent.
We're all on the same page so far.
Yeah.
So, Artie, are you with the team? Are you exactly where I'm thinking too?
I feel like he's already been like I mentioned it when I made him. He's like built as a noir guy already, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
But if he's radicalized, that changes things a little bit, you know, because compared to what he was when I first formed him together, now he's more of like, I don't know, I guess bodyguard for for the terrorists, quote unquote, right? He's the body.
He doesn't have to be radicalized.
Oh no, I mean
that's still your decision.
He definitely would be. Like if he met this guy, because one thing about Barrett in the games, what we know about him is that he's very good at convincing people who have a set of skills that he needs to join his cause, to join the cause. 'Cause it's not his cause. He puts it on a pedestal above himself. It's, you know, it's the cause to save the world, right? And he's very good at getting people with the skill sets that he needs to help him or to join him, whether it be by paying them like Cloud or, you know, convincing them like Tifa and Jesse and Wedge and Biggs. Like it one way or another, he's going to get it to happen. So Artie already has this fire in him of like seeing the injustice, not being able to do much, but just whatever he can with his own two hands. So this is almost like the perfect opportunity. If they did talk about it and when they meet, discuss it in detail, then I could see him, you know, there's no sway necessary. It's just a pinky touch to push him over.
Yeah.
You know?
Great. God, I cannot be playing Barrett. Do not let me play Barrett.
It's up to you. It's up to you, GM. Do we see
He's always
him?
behind the scenes. Oh, Barrett said this.
Yeah.
Barrett told you to do this. Oh, Barrett left a note.
Hey, that's one way.
He's a
that's
working
one way.
man.
Yeah, that's one way to do it.
But yeah, I don't know. Just to wrap this up, maybe we do get the Tokyo Godfather vibe, and then it's like, hey, I'm going on a bombing run. Do you want to keep my baby for an hour or two?
Yeah, take care of Marlene for us.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Well, cool. I think that wraps everything up. Certainly wraps up this incredible campaign. I'm so glad that we got a chance to play this again. And Xavier, I'm so happy that you came up and were like so excited and be like, let's do this. And you know, and like everyone here was just like, that sounds awesome, let's do it. And then that you wanted to do it again, like let's do it. And now we have this beautiful thing, and to be here and like already like talking about what we're gonna do for like the third disc makes me really happy. So
me too. So juice.
It's the most generous act of selfishness I ever made.
Yeah, well said.
Yeah. Thanks for letting me do this again. I can't say it enough. Like, and thanks for just, you know, making it an amazing show to listen to with the editing. And I hope people listening enjoyed it as much as we liked playing it and as much as I liked making it. And I know like it's not the video game, but it's our thing, and I love our thing.
Yeah,
almost like equally, if not more, than the game. So happy to be here.
Absolutely. So thank you all for playing. Thank you all for sitting down. Thank you all for listening, and for having us in your ears, and for being a part of this incredible story that we told. That's it. Yeah. Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Respect the Crits, Final Fantasy VII Memories of Midgar Disc 2. If you like what you heard, please consider supporting us by leaving us a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts, or whatever platform you use. It's easy, free, and helps others learn about the show. Follow us for info, updates, and extra clips on our socials. We're on pretty much everything at Respect the Crit, or come be a part of our amazing community in our Discord. Artanis Rinn is played by Alex Herrera, who you can find at AE Herrera or on his Twitch channel, WadeWolf10. Jewel Stone is played by Jamie Lee-Bonés, who you can find at Jamie MF Bones. Elysia Valerius is played by Susan Spenader, who you can find at Suze Laluz. Ruby Weapon is played by me, your host, Ian Duncan, and you can find me at iDunks. Our Materia Keeper is Xavier Trudeau-Deschênes, who you can find at Xavier TD. The music in this episode is provided with license or permission by a variety of talented artists, whose info and credits can be found in the episode notes. Please support them by visiting their platforms to hear more of their work. The Everyday Heroes roleplay system is published by Evil Genius Games. And remember, whatever the system, miss or a hit, you always gotta respect the crit. Thank you very much, and we'll see you in the live stream. Go piss, girl. Go piss.
Thanks for your permission.
You don't need my permission. You just need a diaper. Like little baby Willow.
Well, baby Willow
Yep.
diarrheaing all in her diaper. She's absolutely destroying it.